And I believe the moon and the sun are in superposition. But they will never agree with us. They will never want to actually re-look into this. And if they do not want to re-look into this, remember, it is because they have established a business venture which they use to indoctrinate you and I, our children, all the time, so that they will be making money out of us. The plane have to now go longer distance to connect to where they are going, because they claim they are actually going on the curvature of Earth. Einstein now tells us that the theory of general relativity, that the mass of Earth bent the space-time or created a curvature in a space-time. That's when they created a theory like this. That's when they created a theory such as this. A theory such as this. Therefore, anything that goes in fall, because the mass of Earth warp the space-time. But Einstein forgot that the mass of Earth does not apply in space. Mass and weight does not apply in space. That's one thing Uncle Albert Einstein forgot. Because if he says the mass of Earth created a curvature in a space-time, that means Einstein believed that mass and weight is applicable in space, which is wrong. It is not applicable. But if he told us that Earth is closed off, this is Earth. Let's use this as Earth. And this is us in Earth. When we go down, when we go up, we fall down. But in space, when we go up, we stay up. But in Earth, when we go up, we fall down, because we are closed off from space. What you see up there is not just atmospheric condition or atmosphere. What we see up there is a firmament, the dome of Earth, which is depicted in Antikythera, the first analog computer that ever existed. It depicted that dome of Earth. The origin of mechanic, which was used to calculate the lunar cycle, depicted that dome of Earth. Your wall clock, the glass that covers your wall clock on top, is depicting that dome of Earth. The compass that you use in the ancient time to navigate your way, the glass on top of it depicts that dome of Earth. We are in enclosed space, which is called our planet Earth. We are no longer exposed to the space where mass and weight does not apply, where up and down does not apply. That's why everything stays afloat in space, because mass, weight, up, down does not apply. You go into a drum and seal it in space. The drum in space, you seal it up like this. That means up and down will apply, because you can no longer feel the space. But outside that drum that you sealed yourself, we become now in a quantum state. Maybe anybody who goes to space to see that drum will no longer see it as a drum. They might see it as a wave, just like we see in our Milky Way galaxy, the wave. That's why, because the planets are in a superposition, are the things that we must recognize before we begin to judge whether or that it is gravity. Gravity is not the problem. We don't have gravity. We have motion. Isaac Newton's law. If we want to actually recognize the law of Isaac Newton in the absence of gravity, Newton's law of motion, formulated three, fundamental law of motion that describe how object behaves in response to force or forces. And remember that these laws are still applicable regardless whether gravity exists, whether gravity does not exist. Now, the first Newton's law, which talks about the law of inertia. An object that is at rest will remain at rest. Object that is in motion will remain in motion with a constant velocity unless acted upon by net external object, right? If you are moving in motion like this, you continue to move in motion. You continue to move unless if there is any object that acted upon it that creates friction or collision. This is collision or friction. Friction, which is the brake of your car. Brakes of your car create friction. Collision is in front. So when any object that moves in motion continue to move until there is friction, which is the brakes, or collision, which will now affect the motion, right? That is what Newton's law says. It is not gravity that caused the collision to kill you or to unalive you inside the car. It is not gravity. It is the law of motion. Interrupted by external force. It will basically move you forward, because in a planet Earth there is forward, there is backward, there is up, there is down. It is not acting on any force. It's law of motion. External force that stops it will now make you fly forward. That's exactly one of the Newton's law, and these laws are applicable in an absence of gravity. When we go to the second law, Newton's second law, which is the law that talks about F equals ma. When F is the force, then m is the mass and of the accelerating object, which is directly proportional to the net force acting on it and inversely proportional to its mass, even in a gravitational zone or in a free gravity zone. The Newton's third law of motion talks about that is every action has equal and opposite reaction. Let's give you another example, another typical example with this. This is sealed. Here where I am is bright, right? It is bright. But inside this sealed place is actually nighttime, right? It becomes nighttime because it is dark. It is not exposed to the brightness of my location right now. It is no longer exposed to the brightness of my location because it is sealed off from the brightness. So immediately when I open it, it becomes bright because it is now exposed to the brightness of my surrounding. But when I close it, it becomes dark inside. That's how everything that is exposed to a particular atmosphere behave differently. But when they are enclosed from that atmosphere, it creates a different, phenomenon. Our planet Earth is a flat plane with a dome that seals it like this. Therefore, we are no longer experiencing space, time, or space itself. We no longer experience the quantum state of the space, which does not have up, does not have down. Now, sealing this makes here inside this, my sealed area behave differently from the environment of the space. Now, sealing this, here becomes up, here becomes down. But in space, if I don't seal it, there is no up, there is no down. If you look up, you look down, they are the same. Look side, look left, they are the same. So sealing it creates a new atmosphere. Therefore, this will bring us to challenge or to revisit the idea of space mission, because we are sealed off from space. And many may question or many may argue that if indeed we are sealed off from space, why is it that a satellite is moving around our Earth? And I will also ask you, why is it that the plane can travel up there? Is it really satellite, having a free fall, which is constant moving? This actually makes me believe that the satellite itself is powered by something. It is not having a free fall. It can be powered by something. Thank you. It could be the truth. Nkutu Morapela said it's solar powered. Thank you very much. That makes a lot of sense. No one is floating up there.